Faran, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
I think you're not unknown to many of us, and right from kids to adults. Movies like Iron Man and Star Trek are not, like I said, an unknown quantity. What I'm trying to draw from you is the inspiration for you, first of all, as first generation immigrant here. It's been always a challenge for many people to get into any, especially in arts, when you're coming from that part of the world. But you've been raised here. I'm trying to understand, what motivated you to get into this arena.
Well, I was raised here and in Pakistan and in England, and what motivated me mostly was my family has been in this field for 4 generations, in arts and literature. So for us, that was a dinner conversation, that was a lunch conversation, that was a breakfast conversation, that was a chit chat that we had. So it was it's part of my DNA. Yes, not that it was ever expected or pushed that I needed to go into this field. I wanted to go into it, and therefore I did.
When you look at the confluence of technology now, you have digital streaming everywhere. Movies are being cross-cultured. So if I take you to Pakistan, not as much, but India, Bollywood, as now having influence around the world, where do you see some synergies between the two? Because we are more ethnically, more culturally focused in our movies. Songs are an integral part of our culture. But it is being appreciated by a larger audience where you work.
It is, and I think yes, that particular brand of movies, it's new here. They don't. We work like mini operas, is the way our movies work. What you're also seeing from South Asia now, there is a whole other kind of movie making that's also emerging, which is great, which is social issue based, which is more dealing with life in general, not just the fantasy, or not just transporting us to a whole other place, but to also deal and resolve issues that we face every day in our life. So I think there's a lot of newer kinds of genres that are emerging there, which I like, because I think it makes us better actors. It helps us give a broader menu for people to choose from.
So for the emerging artists who want to get into either movies or on TV, you see a couple of characters, could be Pakistani, Indian origin, but they are written and played around their ethnicity, without which, it's difficult for you to get into this particular area. So beyond this, for kids who are growing up here, they don't call themselves Indian, they call themselves, American, or they don't call them Pakistanis, but they're Americans. So for them, it is difficult to identify with the culture of their parents, but they still want to be mainstream. So what is your advice for them to fit into and find the proper roles?
Well, look, we don't need to glorify who we are, but by the same token, we don't need to reject who we are either. An Italian American is an Italian American. He or she understands his Italian heritage, and yet he's an American. I think we should be doing the same thing. We should accept and celebrate the positives that we have to offer, and we need to not criticize, but improve the negatives that we have. So yeah, the kids who are growing up here, when they see only a few ways that our ethnicity is being portrayed, I think it can be a turnoff. I don't put all the blame on the producers. I think if you want to change it, we have to stop being complacent. We have to put more energy, more money, more effort into trying to create those opportunities for our young ones to go into the field, rather than keeping us out of it.
The other aspect of whole production is not just about acting. It's about a lot of other things that people can involve themselves into. There are big media schools that people go to. I'm trying to get some nuggets out of you to draw inspiration, so other people who are looking at media as their career or the art of making movies as a career, there are so many tremendous opportunities as a professional, as an entrepreneur. So, just wanted you to share some of this.
Look, I think people sometimes don't understand that media, I mean, look, there are movies that have budgets of $150 million. That's big business. That is a huge business that'll get done in 6 months. You're starting a company and giving it $150 million and then wrapping it up, right? So I think we sometimes, it eludes us the power of media. But also what eludes us is the profit that you can find in media. And I would encourage people from our background to start taking a very serious look at the opportunities that media has to offer as a profitable business. Yeah, I mean, there are other ways to make money, but I think this is also something that's very lucrative, and there are ways to make that money if you're smart enough. If you can create, we have to be smart in the sense that, look, if I open a store and if I only let Pakistanis in, my business in this country is going to not go very far. I need to be smart enough that I create enough of a clientele which is not just Pakistani, right? It's the same thing with media. We need to be able to find those bridges where the stories are universal enough that anybody can identify with them, and take that to a level of profitability. I think it's a natural thing for us to be doing at this point.
Where do you see some of the inspiration coming from the studios, the big studios who make all these big budget movies? Because you are involved into big productions. There is not just, like we just talked about, the making of the movie, but the whole entrepreneurship, the risk taking, right? It's like you said, a startup which is start to finish in within 6 months to a year, and that's $150 million venture. People who do this on a daily basis, they are, in many people's opinions, including mine, as big-time risk takers, which are entrepreneurs. What are the lessons that you can draw from them to inspire the emerging entrepreneurs who want to go into this arena?
See, what we are seeing right now is that even the studios are realizing that there's a global market. And because of that, there's tremendous opportunity that's out there. They're not just dependent on the domestic box office, which means that the storylines that they're also exploring are not just domestic storylines, which gives us the opportunity to get into a business because it is opening up. They're not looking at, even in casting, it's not just casting Caucasian Americans all the time, right? They're trying to bring in different people, different ethnicities, because those ethnicities play well when those movies play in those countries. So this is the time for us to make sure that we also enter this, because that's where the profit is right now. Once it's established, the profit is going to go down to I mean, that's common business sense, right?
Who have been your inspiration in terms of the actor who you always wanted to emulate?
I don't emulate actors. My inspiration comes from people who reach for their goals with all their heart and all their mind. So those are the people that inspire me. So it's not just acting, because I think that's not where it's at. I think it's people from all walks of life. I give an example. I was talking on this panel. One of my inspirations is my grandmother, because she wrote her first novel at the age of 11 and got it published. She became one of the first pilots in the British Empire because somebody challenged her, she couldn't do it. So those are the inspirations of people who are willing to take on the challenge and run with it, and literally have the motto that, either you can join me or get out of my way. So those are my inspirations.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Appreciate your time.
Most welcome.